Can I tell them about the retirement home rule?
Please.
She's not allowed anywhere near retirement homes.
He actually made a rule
I really did. I made a rule.
because apparently I am a flight risk.
Well, you're friendly. You'd come home with someone else's grandpa.
That's not okay, maybe a little true, but for the record, I only have eyes for this grandpa.
Well, that's really reassuring.
We also have a joke that my son is going off to college around the same time
The same time I go down for the big dirt nap.
Rick dies. And they're both going to ghost me,
Well, statistically speaking.
statistically speaking. Welcome to episode 3. We're talking about the math today, and I promise it's funnier and heavier than it sounds. This is
The
the age
age
gap
gap effect.
effect. The age gap effect, where we say things age gap couples think about at 2 a.m. but never say out loud. I'm Haley, he's Rick. Today we're doing the math. Buckle up. Okay, caught in the gap time. The part of the show where we share the most awkward, funny, or unhinged thing that happened to us this week because of our age gap. And reminder, we want yours. Find us at the Age Gap Effect on Instagram and TikTok and send them in. Okay, Rick, you go.
Oh, this one's easy. This was when we went away for our 1 year anniversary, the first year of us meeting. And this couple in their late 80s, I'm guessing, just looked horrified when they were looking at us, holding hands, walking to our table. And so as we walked by, I turned to the man and said, hello. And he was trying to say hello, but his mouth would barely move because it was just so funny. And he tried to smile, but it was this really awkward smile. And we just went on by. But it was a pretty self-evident that it was our age gap that gave them cause to pause.
That was funny because I am the one that notices more than you do. And I remember we were walking to our table and you said, did you just see that? So it
You were
was,
clueless.
yeah, a role reversal. I did one last week, so I'm not going to get super into detail, but I always tell everyone that we've been together 20 years. And that still is the funniest explanation I have because you can see the wheels turning and you can see them get really confused and then just smile because they don't know what to say.
She really does do this.
Minor part of detail there, but the spirit is true. It feels like we've been together for 20 years.
Well, it does feel that way.
You know what? It just hit me. I do have a moment. So we are away on vacation in San Luis Obispo, and we're going through this cute little shop. This lady comes up and is just in awe with Rick. And in this situation, she looked like she was older than you were and didn't realize that we were a couple. So she was flirting. She kept rubbing your arm. It was really cute. And I just stepped back because I knew what was going on. And I didn't want to break her heart because I'm not your daughter
She was really cute.
until you mentioned that I was your girlfriend. And then she stood back a little bit.
Yeah, she did. She got real respectful real fast. That was really sweet.
Well, look at that. You could have been in a different kind of age gap relationship.
Just her, me, and her cane.
That cane looked pretty inviting. Well, Richard, who's the one fighting the sugar baby comments now?
Ah,
All right, so on to today's episode. Before we get into this episode, I wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone that has reached out and given us their input. I know we had a couple issues with the sound.
it was all on my end, unfortunately.
Rick likes to whisper,
I'm a very soft spoken person.
but unfortunately, you can't do a podcast in Braille. But thank you, honestly. And I hope you guys are able to hear us a little bit better. If not, please hit the like button below. Okay, so if you listen to episode 1, you know how we met. Charity poker tournament, Rick's secret wingman operation, and the restaurant where the kitchen almost closed on us. But what we didn't get into is the moment age actually became a conversation. Because here's the thing, It didn't come up before our first date. We talked about politics, religion, and all the hard stuff. And somehow, this one thing, the most obvious thing in the room, just didn't come up.
Yeah, well, we connected. I mean, that was the thing.
We connected so well, it genuinely didn't feel relevant in the moment. And then at the end of the night, Rick's driving me home and he goes,
I turned to her and said, "So, elephant in the room, age?"
just like that, elephant in the room, age. And we shared our numbers, and I told him it wasn't an issue for me.
Although I didn't really believe her.
He didn't believe me. He literally laughed and said, let's see where this goes. Like he was waiting for me to come to my senses.
Yeah, well, when you did have a little bit of a deer in the headlight look when I told you how old I was, and I don't blame you for that. So I just wasn't all that sure when you said, "Oh, it doesn't bother me," because it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction.
I think I was so excited. There was so much going on. We had so many things in common, and it was such a great moment that you threw me off with this curveball. I prejudged you, I guess, because I didn't expect you to be anywhere near your age. And I don't think I knew how to digest the good with the facts.
With the old.
The good with the old. Oh God. And here's the thing that gets me. I could have let that be a deal breaker. And I remember thinking, okay, this is new and this is different. This is further outside of my comfort zone than I've ever been. And I thought, so what? Let's try something new.
Thank goodness you did, because now here we are.
Here we are. Okay, the math. Can we just acknowledge that every single person in an age gap relationship has done this? Like alone in the dark at some point, you've done the math.
Everyone's done the math.
You do the math on the years, the ages. You think about where you'll be when things happen. And then you close that tab in your brain and you go make a snack and pretend you weren't just spiraling.
Very healthy.
Extremely healthy. So let's open that tab out loud together because that's what the show is for. Rick is 70, I'm 35. If Rick lives to 90, which, by the way, is the ultimate goal.
Well, the ultimate goal is 150, but let's go with 90.
150 is it's a good goal to have, sweetheart.
For 135, then I get to see you live to 100.
Yeah, my weight. So if Rick makes it to 90, I'll be 55. If Rick lives to 85, I'll be 50. My son will likely be in college around that time that things get statistically significant. And Rick and I have this joke that they're both going to ghost me at the same time. My son goes to college, Rick
I go to the big casino in the sky.
dies. And I'm just standing there like, hello, anyone? Bueller?
It's we have to be kind of comical about it because it is such a serious subject, and if we get too serious about it, then we're just going to be depressed. And it's a reality that neither of us can change. So we need to have some humor about it.
And here's what people don't think about. It's not just his side of the math. I could go first. It's not the expectation and it's not the probability, but life is unpredictable. It's not a guarantee that anything's going to go in a particular order. And I remind myself of this and it actually helps because it reframes the whole thing.
It's not really an age gap problem, it's a life problem.
It's a life problem. Everyone who loves someone is running the same math. We're just more aware of it because of our ages. So, Rick and I want to talk about this because I think it matters and we don't avoid stuff, we go towards it.
We made a decision early on.
We made a decision. We actually started couples therapy, not because something was wrong, but because we wanted to start this off with the right tools. A relationship with a 35-year age gap, a child, throw in autism. These aren't things that you wing, and we wanted to do it right.
Best decision we made.
Honestly, one of the best decisions we made. And part of that is being really honest about the future. Affairs in order, wishes known, And it's not that it's fun to talk about, but it's because we have both watched people struggle, really struggle, because they didn't have these conversations, and we refuse to do that to each other.
I just love the fact that I can talk to you about anything and you respond right away with no hesitation, no filter. We just talk about things openly, honestly, and then you throw in the humor, and it takes all the sting out of the difficult conversations.
I really liked how transparent and honest and open you were from the start. That was really attractive. It's hard to have these conversations, and not everyone is programmed in that manner.
There are so many people that will not ever talk about their own demise, and the old saying of "we're none of us are going to get out of this life alive" is so true. I think it's just from my years in business, being candid with my clients and just cutting past all the BS and saying, let's just talk about the truth and the reality of things, and not soften things or try to color them to look better than they are. Just acting with integrity and being open and honest.
I really like that about you. I used to do that when I did hair. I would start with a new client and we'd go over their consultation, and I would always say, I don't sell used cars and there are no hidden fees, so let's go over price. Let's talk about the hard stuff. And I feel like you and I do that in our relationship. The couples therapy is a funny one because when I would tell friends we're in therapy, the first thought was, what's wrong?
Oh, you're already having problems.
But how many people just want to start from where they think is the healthiest place? And we both brought that to the table early on, and it was so great.
Well, even our therapist complimented us in that we are her only patients who have done this the way that we do it with before there's a problem. And she even said that most of the couples that go to her, it's already too late, that they're past they're arguing and they're ready to leave. So I think we did this right.
9 times out of 10, we don't read the instructions manuals. So it's funny that we started our relationship off that way.
That is funny because we are both known for not reading the instructions.
So I think we had a good back and forth from the start. And if you want to throw this in the positive points from an age gap, I think maturity came into play in that factor. But it was really nice to have a third party help facilitate as we were merging two completely different worlds. It's great to have an unbiased opinion when you're building together. And honestly, I recommend therapy to anyone, whether you're in an age gap relationship or you're the same age. It is so beneficial to have somebody in both of your corners helping advocate for the relationship as a whole.
And they also have a way of knowing where the landmines are before you get there. And that's really helpful so you can sidestep those problems and create a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Oh gosh, one of my favorite memories was that day we're sitting there, and I remember you looked at me and you said, "Are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to be really old."
I love your response.
I just looked at him and I said, "You're already old, baby."
And she wasn't wrong.
We have a really great understanding and support. And even in these really hard questions, I think we tackle them pretty well.
I think it really speaks to our lack of fear. We're just not afraid to talk about anything with each other. And again, it goes back to the original comfort that we had in the first week that we started dating. We just had this instant comfort with each other to where we felt like we weren't being judged. We could say whatever we wanted to each other. And it was healthy.
A lot of those uncomfortable moments and conversations are things that come into having a healthy connection. The nitty gritty and the things that people don't want to talk about. I mean, it's not sexy to talk about funeral arrangements.
Yeah, and the fact that you could get hit by a car tomorrow and I'm left to raise a 5-year-old boy with autism, not knowing what you know.
Well, I think you'd both be raising each other.
Well, that's a good point. Who would be raising who at that point? Or if I get hit by a car tomorrow, who do you call? How do you run all the properties and everything?
You do a really good job of bringing things up and making light of situations, but it makes it easier to dive into those things in a lighter nature.
Absolutely, because these are some really dark conversations. I mean, they're talking about one of us not being here any longer. That's not a fun topic.
In the long run, it's like when you work out, and I know this is such a dumb comparison. Rick hates me for this. So I've lost a significant amount of weight, and my whole life is kind of turned into the gym. So every analogy I use is sports based now. But it really is. You put the time in and you work out and you do all the things you know you need to do and you trust the process. And in the long run, you feel great because you know you did the work. And it might be a funny comparison, but it's the same with us. We've talked about some of the things that are hard, that you have to put effort into, that you don't want to do. But in the long run, it all adds up to smoother sailing. And that's a really weird way of putting it. But God forbid there's an emergency or something that goes on. We know so much about each other that it would make it a lot easier to navigate the hard times because we've had those talks.
I think that's really accurate because we have put in a lot of work. This is the most work I've put into any relationship I've ever had. And you know, I've had a few, but it's also the healthiest relationship I've ever had. Coincidence? I don't think so.
I want to say something, and I want to say it directly to anyone out there who is in a relationship like ours, or thinking about one, or already in the rabbit hole of math at 2 a.m. Yes, it's scary. I won't pretend it isn't. When I let myself really think about the future, the timeline, the gap, what things might look like down the road, it's an overwhelming place to go. It's a rabbit hole, and sometimes it takes everything you have to climb back out. But here's what I came back to every single time. Not everyone finds a connection like ours in their lifetime. Not everyone finds somebody who makes the kitchen close because you're talking for so long. Not everyone finds someone who drives you home and says, elephant in the room, and makes you feel safe enough to actually answer. Not everyone gets this. And I would rather have this fully, completely, with all the math and all the weight of it, than play it safe and never wonder what I missed.
Yet another reason why I'm really glad I asked for her number.
I know. The time you have is the time you have with anyone at any age. There's no guarantees for any of us. And the people who spend their lives waiting for a safer version of love sometimes never find it at all. So do the math, know your numbers, have the hard conversations, go to therapy, laugh about retirement home bans, college, death, and all of that. And then put the math away and go be in love.
Oh, that's really well said, baby.
I have my moments. That's episode 3. I won't lie. That one got me a little bit.
Well, you did good.
We did good. Thank you for being here for this one. If this episode hits you somewhere real, share it. Send it to someone in an age gap relationship who needs to hear it. Send it to someone who's been giving you the look and maybe needs a little perspective.
Oh, and send us your caught in the gap stories.
Yes, Instagram, TikTok. I said it wrong last week. At the age gap effect. And we read everything. And Maggie, thanks for the suggestion about the Lambo. I am running it through upper management as we speak.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Maggie.
Next week, we're going somewhere equally as terrifying.
Family.
Family. The ones who showed up for us, the ones who are still coming around, and the ones who have opinions about a relationship they've never actually seen up close. It's going to be a lot.
Well, it's going to be honest.
It's going to be very honest. We'll see you then. And Rick,
Yes.
I'd do the math over and over again for you.
Oh, me too.
You're just saying that because it's my turn to do dishes tonight.
Ha!
Thanks, everyone.